Okay, well, here we are once again on the Metis Matters radio show. This is the only British Columbia Metis show coming to you from downtown Vancouver, speaking to the people from this area in the downtown east side of the city of Vancouver. My name is Ken Fisher. I'm your genial host and moderator. At least I try to be genial most of the time. And like I always say on this show, this is actually a music show. We play Métis-style fiddle music for your entertainment. We take phone calls because it's a talk show. We'd like to hear from our listeners. In addition to that, we also bring updates of what's going on in the Métis community. And we invite people from the Métis Nation BC, their board of directors, the staff, anybody who cares to phone in from there can certainly pick up the phone, or they can even come in and talk to me here and sit here in the studio with me like they used to do. I'd be glad to have them on. Meanwhile, though, the only ones that seem to be taking up my invitation at the moment are people from the Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens, and I like to say that I have a guest in the studio today, Mr. Keith Henry. So go ahead, Keith, and how's things with you today?
Well, good, and thanks, Ken, for having us on the show, and and I appreciate it, and I do recognize that you invite many people to come, and I just, again, thank you for allowing us, in a free and democratic society, to have a place to speak, as we would be glad to see a MNBC representative sitting here at any meeting.
Exactly, and just to get the word out, I have an announcement to make here, which it's a prepared statement in a way. It's an answer to last week's response from MNBC that they were inundated with calls. Here's my response. In response to an MNBC press release after last week's Métis Matters radio broadcast, I was surprised to see and hear of the reaction from MNBC about a certain caller to the Métis Matters show last week. It was claimed that they were inundated with calls after that show. During the 1 hour broadcast on CFRO 102.7 FM, we invited the listening public to participate by calling in to 604-684-7561 like we always do, and we would put them on the air with their question or comments. Several listeners took the opportunity to do just that. One particular caller claimed she was a former MNBC employee and made several comments about the way the MNBC Central Registry was conducted. It was her opinion only, and we listened to her speak and moved on to the next caller. I invite anyone from MNBC or wherever to call in with the news and views about what is going on in the Métis community. I make announcements to call on how to reach MNBC head office. I explain the structure of MNBC and its communities in BC. I also invite Métis people to tune in and hear the news and listen to Métis fiddle tunes. Many do that. We have listeners right across Western Canada and beyond. The Métis Matters radio show has been on the air locally and across BC since 1989. Host Ken Fisher has mostly funded the expenses of that broadcast for the first 15 or 16 years. We are grateful for the occasional contribution from our Métis citizens. In 2006, MNBC began supporting the show financially with the weekly expenses. And, of course, that was a great help to keep Métis Matters on the air. In November 2010, 2 months ago or so, I was notified that they would not support the Métis Matters show anymore, citing financial constraints. Well, that's fine. So now we are relying on our listeners for support through their donations and membership fees to Vancouver Co-op Radio. But essentially, we are on our own in covering the cost of the Métis Matters radio show expenses from now on unless they decide once again to fund our basic costs. Once again, I say that the Métis Matters radio show is a good mix of Métis-style fiddle music that we play, and of course we try to bring Métis-specific updates and report on current affairs to the attention of our listeners from across the province. We extend an invitation during every broadcast to our listeners to call in with their questions or comments. It's an open line, and we accept calls as they come in. It makes for good dialogue, and we wish to educate the Métis people and mainstream general public about Métis history and culture. This has been the way it has been since 1989. Do the math, folks. It's going on 22 years. It has always been my policy of letting callers have their say, as we have no control over statements made to our show, except for profanity, of course, where we have a 4 or 5 second delay. During last week's show, several other callers phoned in. It's their choice whether they wish to be identified. We don't ask. That's the way it is. Dominus vobiscum. That means God be with you in Latin. Thank you. Ken Fisher, Métis Matters. Proud to be Métis. And so that's my statement in response to their inundation. So I don't know what you think of that, but
well, I thought, and I guess since you're asking my opinion, I'm going to give you a strong one. I think that for a provincial governing body to put out a press release that says Métis communities and citizens outraged over the Métis Matters radio show. I mean, first of all, there's so many challenges I have personally as a citizen with that. I mean, it's one thing for our bad politics to be attacking one another, but when it comes to the Métis Matters radio show, I just cannot believe this is a public station. They don't fund it, as you just informed the listeners.
They fund expenses. They did for a while.
Well, I mean, but regardless, the bottom line is that you can't control what people will say in a moment of emotion and anger. And I think that this just speaks to the overall state of where we are as a nation right now. And I just think that, that press release has been put out, just so you know, Ken. It's been on Nation Talk. It's all over this country right now. And you see MNBC puts it on the front page of their website. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And they don't realize the damage it does to the Métis Matters radio show.
Credibility is what it's all about.
Well, and at the end of the day, if anyone listens carefully, I'll say it right here on this show. The issue that I had, because I was here as a guest last week, but trying to allude that I somehow knew better. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know who what people are going to say either. But I will say this. That issue that was brought up by that former MNBC staff needs to be fully investigated, not by the Senate, but by the board of directors themselves. For when you hear an allegation that the current president has direct knowledge of contraventions to the Citizenship Act and the process, I'm sorry, that needs to be investigated. If it's not true, there should, or whatever the case may be, that needs to be looked at very seriously. And I cannot believe the reaction from MNBC was, well, this is outrageous. No, it's outrageous to me as a citizen that this registry that's been invested millions upon millions of dollars over the last 6 years could be completely compromised. And I'm just absolutely in shock over it.
I'm unable to measure the motivation behind that call. I only assume that something happened while she was employed that was upsetting her as a Métis person, and we just have to see what goes down. If in fact she did identify herself, that's what I thought was unique.
Well, I think I just want to say that I've heard a lot of people say, well, what's she up to? And I saw some posts on the coalition website to the same effect. And fair enough, but the fact of the matter is, she put her name out there. She made it clear what she was upset about. She let people know that she did try and use the internal process, and it never resulted in anything. And her interest, from what I heard, is that she's a Métis citizen who demands accountability of that system. Well, I don't see what the problem with our nation dealing with those things. And the fact is, she's not a politician. She's not trying to be the board of director. And I didn't hear her saying, it's my job back or else. So for me, I'm just really disappointed in the fact that people would try and think she has no... I always find it interesting. You see these MNBC press releases out, and they talk like they've got the moral high ground with everyone. Oh, the communities are outraged. Well, you know what? I'm from a community. I didn't hear my community outraged. And I can tell you, I was up in Terrace this last weekend. No communities up there were outraged, so I don't know where they're talking about this. And so I just think it's just a lot of rhetoric, a lot of pomp, and you know what. And I think that it speaks for itself that the motivations behind it. So.
Right. Well, anyway, I'd like to think that we still do take calls, and of course, the number of the call, if you have a question or a comment, like I always say on the Métis Matters radio show, is 604-684-7561. Give us a call. If you got to respond to what was said, to what's something on your mind. But meanwhile, we're going to go back to music, because we do play a lot of Métis fiddle music. That first song you heard was a number called Heel Toe by a fellow from Manitoba called Darren LaValle. And we're going to hear another number right now, and this is called Wind That Turns the Mill. So we'll be right back. Okay, well, here we are back on the Métis Matters Radio Show. It's a lovely tune by Darren LaValle, Wind That Turns the Mill. So don't forget that number if you want to phone in. Our policy hasn't changed over last week. It's 604-684-7561. And, of course, I want to remind people that my name is Ken Fisher. I'm the host of the Métis Matters Radio Show. Have been for many years. On my right is the chief spokesperson for the Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens, Mr. Keith Henry. On my left,
it's Daryl Piper, a member of the executive of the Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
I kind of wish sometimes that some of the people from the board of directors of Métis Nation BC would show up here and give us a few answers to some of the things that are going on. I know we're all looking forward to the upcoming event, which is the Métis Nation Governing Assembly, starting on the 18th, 19th, and 20th in Abbotsford at the school that was purchased. It's on 30691 Simpson Road. At that time, the presidents from all across BC, I assume they're in their 30s, 30 to 35 presidents. We don't know how many.
Well, we're not sure given the most recent, I guess the MNBC is confused, I think, pretty much everyone in the province about whether these charter communities have to be legal status or in good standing. So as it stands right now, on the website, there's still 35 Métis chartered communities plus the board of directors. So there'll be those 35 communities each get a vote, and I guess the 11 MNBC board of directors. So you're really talking about 46 individuals. But as we know, MNBC President Dumont sent out a letter January 19th insinuating in a lot of ways that the communities had to be a legal standing. There was certainly a lot of discussion last week on the radio show. He followed up with a response to one of the communities from the Vancouver Métis Cultural Society on January 31st. I'm not really sure that was an interesting response, not really clear still, and sort of alleging that the communities had to be incorporated because the MNBC had to be accountable for that money.
There's
like a
certainly
project.
a lot of ambiguity of who's coming and who's going to be eligible to be there. And I thought it was cut and dried that any president who was part of the chartered Métis communities, like I'm a president of Nova Métis Heritage Association, I have no hesitation in saying, of course I have a right to be there. I represent a huge Métis community, and that's what I want to be there for.
Well, especially the fact is if MNBC is going to change the rules, the charter requires MNBC to notify the community, and they certainly were not aware of them notifying anyone other than the fact that it looks like they haven't really necessarily made travel arrangements for some of the communities, I guess, that they are aware that are not in legal standing, is our understanding at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been in touch with them, and I said, what's the scoop? And is everything in order? And according to Tracy Thornhill, she said, fine.
Yeah, well, I've got a bridge over on the North Shore I can sell you, and I mean, not
I don't think you want to go that far.
Well, I know I am going to go that far because I think it's not just tongue in cheek. I mean, I keep saying Rome is burning, and you call MNBC and they pretend it's business as usual, and I just think as a citizen, enough's enough. I mean, maybe everyone in this nation thinks that's okay. I don't. I don't think another day of more debt. I don't think another day of mismanaged leadership. I don't think this is acceptable anymore. Until we all, as citizens, don't accept this anymore, it's going to carry on. And what is that carrying on led us to? Well, in this term, from this last board of directors, and we've put it out on a press release, just think of this math now. They were elected in September 2008, so we're talking about 29 months. They've gone 1.55 million in debt, in actual debt since that day, if you want to keep it to that time frame of actual organizational debt. So
let's call it it's overspending.
Well, overspending there, and they've now gone ahead and got mortgage and loans and everything else.
Spending money they don't have.
On another $3 million plus as it stands right now. So let's do the math on that. That's over $4.55 million this current board of directors is okay with. As a citizen, I'm not just trying to cause problems here. The coalition, I've been proud of the fact that we've actually put together a blueprint document and everything else, and we've put together ways that we can go forward, but I do not think any of us anymore can accept another day of this. And I can tell you right now, if the MNGA leaders don't realize that they have to step in and do something, well, I think our nation is really, we got big problems.
They need to vote in a united manner to make sure that this doesn't continue.
Well, they don't just have to vote in a united manner. They have to vote in an informed manner. I mean, the problem is you see all these people walking around, don't believe this, don't believe that. I've done the regional sessions now. I can say say with confidence sitting on this show today that the grassroots people do not even know about the school. The majority of them, the majority of the grassroots didn't even realize we were in debt. You should have seen the look on people's faces in those 7 regional sessions when we're telling people, just so you know, this is how much debt we have. People were in shock everywhere throughout this province. And
okay, but there's an underlying feeling by some people that some debt is acceptable. Okay, so instead of what you just said, the amount, is there like $500,000 or 500,000 or something like? Is that acceptable?
It's zero, Ken.
Zero.
It's a non-profit society. The amount of debt in our nation should be zero. And you know what? Until people realize that, why is it fair for the current leaders to handcuff the next leaders for the next 10, 15 years to pay back mistakes they're making today? I don't think that's right. And maybe I'm alone in this province, but I think it's ridiculous, and I think that it shows the lack of business acumen. And I'm sorry if it comes out strong to the listeners. The fact is, these people, we've in our debt recovery plan, I need people to understand. Even if we stop the bleeding today, we're talking minimally 15 years approximately to fix this mess, to get back where we were 2 years ago. What leader is going to go in, no money, nothing we can do about it, and hope this school can somehow make it?
Seems like they banked too much on making money out of that school, and then some pie in the sky stimulus funding that they thought they were going to get, and it never happened. All of a sudden, they put themselves way in over their head. Now, Darrell, you were up there in Prince Rupert area. Was it Terrace this past weekend?
Correct,
I understand
yes.
You had a rough trip. You had snowed in. You couldn't even get out of the place.
Oh my goodness, we were snowed in for an extra day, and that we hadn't expected. But as in every community we've gone to, we've gone and told them the plan, like we've explained it. We went and had a dialogue with the people, and they've asked a lot of questions. And yet again, these people are saying, they're saying enough is enough. They're fed up with it. They said, what do we do? We said, go to your regional director, which is Rene. Of course, he's suspended. But they said, we need you guys to go out there and ask the questions.
They say in French, c'est impossible. It's impossible because you don't have a regional director.
No, he's coming down. Rene's going to come down.
I know, but he's suspended.
It makes no difference.
He has a right to take his seat at
He is going to take
MNGA.
his seat there. And Rose Bordelon is also going to come and take her rightful seat there as well. People are very, very upset now. If they think they're going to fool all the people again, they're not going to fool anybody this time around. And I want to talk about our president, Russ Roy of the Vancouver Metis Cultural Society. He had inquired when he originally got the letter about saying, well, you have to be incorporated. So he sent a letter back to Bruce outlining this, saying that our board had looked at the chartered agreement. We looked at the Constitution. Amongst the board members, we did not see anything in there that said that we had to be registered. Although in protest, Mr. Roy did send the incorporation number, said, listen, we were incorporated in February of 2007. Vancouver Metis Cultural Society was incorporated. So he got a response back from Bruce where it's very confusing. It says, well, wait a minute. No, you don't have to be incorporated. Well, wait a minute. Yes, you do have to be incorporated. We were totally confused.
Well, no, exactly. What and if anyone's read President Dumont's response on February 4th, it is sort of what I call a good, it's double talk, or is what lawyers sometimes will laugh when they hear this. It's called sucking and blowing all in the same time in the response. You're saying, oh, we never said we were going to disenfranchise any communities, but those that are in good standing will certainly be able to attend. So, I mean, the message is there. I mean, they're clear on what they're trying to attempt in that. And so, for me, I just think it's those things that we can try and do. But I hope that, Ken, the listeners realize that what the coalition, besides criticizing, we've always said we'd be part of the solution. And I know that we've tried to articulate that on the show many times around how we feel that we've got an action plan to help recover this nation once and for all.
Well, something's happening. Apparently, the CEO, Melanie Langthorne, is no longer employed by them. She's gone as of January 31st, and she's now started her own consultation company, it looks like. And, of course, and the next one is the Chief Operating Officer, Dean Tremblay, is apparently leaving at the end of this fiscal year. So, obviously, I don't know what's happened, but they're leaving.
Well, as you say, I think you said it before, sometimes it's just better to leave when the ship is sinking. And I think, in terms of, I've, certainly many people in we all know the Moxon Telegraph moves very quickly. We certainly heard that the former CEO was not exactly given an option to leave, and right or wrong, I mean, that's the decision that was made. Yeah. And in terms of the current COO, I guess apparently he's
chief operating officer.
Yeah, and so he's apparently moving on for, according to statements I've read, that first.
Yeah, he's going to be taking a consulting position. So I don't know if that makes any real change.
Yeah, I actually don't think it. I was just going to make that point. I don't think he's leaving at all. In fact, what he's doing is just transferring to be a consultant, and that's fine. That's his choice. I certainly don't understand why put out a statement you're leaving when really in fact right. you're not really leaving. You're just changing your role. I mean, it's nothing. So
I look at that with some question in my mind. However, let's not get too serious here, but we do want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on within the Métis community here in BC. But time for a break. But I want to remind everyone listening. Here on the Métis Matters radio show, we're on the air right now. You can phone in to 604-684-7561. We'll take your call, put you right on the air with your question or comment, and we'll be glad to answer your question or your comment is welcome. So let's do that, 604-684-7561. So let's hear a nice song now, right, by a fellow, and he's going to be singing Good Night, Irene.
Perhaps it's the color of the sun cut flat, uncovering the crossroads I am standing at. Or maybe it's the weather or something like that. But baby, you've been on my mind. I am not asking you to say words like yes and no, please understand me. I've got no place for you to go. I'm just breathing to myself, pretending not that I don't know. Baby, you've been on my mind. Even though my mind is hazy and my thoughts, they might be narrow, where you been? Don't bother me or bring me down in sorrow. It don't even matter to me how are you waking up tomorrow. Baby, you've been on my mind. When you wake up in the morning, baby, look inside your mirror. You know I won't be next to you. You know I won't be near. I'd just be curious to know if you can see yourself as clear as someone who has had you on his mind. Perhaps it's the color of the sun cut flat, uncovering the crossroads I am standing at. Or maybe it's the weather or something like that. Baby, you've been on my mind. Baby, you've been on my mind.
Well, I don't know about that song. I think we got a little bit mixed up there, and I don't know if that was who we thought it was. All of a sudden, it's the Kingston Trio playing a different song I didn't recognize. However,
it didn't match, actually. It said 10 on the CD, it's 11 on the CD case.
That we shall write them a scathing letter about their stupidity.
A firm letter.
And that will never happen again. Meanwhile, though...
we have a phone call.
We have a phone call. Well, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, we take phone calls from anyone and anywhere with a question or comment about the Métis and the Métis situation. So go ahead, caller. You are on the air.
Hello, Ken. I'd like to thank you and state for the record I really enjoy your show.
Thank you very much. Much obliged.
Oh, thank you. My comment is, as a youth representative for one of the communities, I have heard nothing on the outrage within my community on the media release. It's been silent on this end, and I'm just for anonymity, I'm going to not disclose my community.
You're anonymous. That's good. That's
very
your privilege.
Good. But I would like to say thank you, and also that a lot of the information that we receive in this neck of the woods on the Métis Nation BC comes from your show. So once again, keep up the good work. Thank you. And have a good night.
Now tell us about the youth problem, though.
Well, there is not really a youth problem so much as there is no real organizational level.
I see.
I'm a representative, and I couldn't even tell you another member.
They have a youth representative, Stephanie Albiston, and they're supposed to have youth reps in each region. I know in Region 2 here, our regional youth rep resigned about 3 or 4 months ago, and there's no attempt to replace that person. And if they did, I don't know what programs are in place, but they just go happily along as if everything was in order.
Well, there's not too much discussion or dialogue, top down or even bottom up, for that matter.
Well, I think I appreciate it. I hope it's Keith Henry here from the Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens, and I just want to thank you for the call. I hope I can just offer a comment. One of the issues we've raised at the coalition as well is around governance, and this is one of those examples of why. I mean, I don't want to use. I hope I'm not offending you by stepping on your issue here, but I just really think that this is exactly the problem with our nation right now. We've got people trying to lead the nation that clearly do not know what they're doing, and they haven't found a way to. How do they create that organization, and how do they inspire everyone to get involved, including the youth, the women, the elders, our community leadership, and so forth. And so I encourage you, if you get a chance, we've put out a blueprint document on our coalition website at www.mnbcagm.wordpress.com. And I certainly encourage you to take a look at that and maybe just you might see a number of the actions we believe need to take place in terms of reviving our governance, because this is just another example of how there is no communications, there's really no linkages in so many areas, and I only hope you don't give up as a youth, because it's important that our government gets formed properly.
You know what they say about the youth, the leaders of tomorrow. By the way, we have in the Nova Métis Heritage Association about 500 youth. I've been asking them for years to come bring somebody out to try and bring them together, make a list of who they are, come to our office. Nobody ever shows up.
Well, that seems to be the problem of the youth.
It's not the youth that's the problem. It's the people who are supposed to be the coordinators of the youth programs. Nothing happens.
Well, and I'd like to just say on the youth side of it, I don't know it's as much as the youth, because I don't think I'm that old. I mean, I'm older, but I have a son who's in his teenage years, and his problem is, it's a different worldview for the youth, right? The teenagers or younger kids or whatever, and we got to make things fun and exciting for these people to get involved. Why would they want to get involved to deal with political infighting and the stuff we've seen over the last while? So until people realize, you get these reps that are out there that get a BlackBerry and an email and a title, and they think that's the end of their job. I mean, those days we have to inspire people to want to do better for their people, and so I would only offer a final comment to the caller that we have to find programming that works for the youth.
Right on. Okay, well, thanks for the call. Much appreciated. And we'll talk about youth, and we'll bring this up at every chance we get.
Well, thank you very much. And once again, congratulations on your program.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate
Goodbye.
that. Bye-bye. Well, you see, the trouble with youth, The trouble with youth. Well, we had our regional youth rep. She resigned suddenly. She wanted to come to a meeting or two, but there's no indoctrination program, I think, when she got elected. I think it was by acclamation in the last election. Didn't have the foggiest idea what the role was. Nobody gave her any guidance, or if that was the case, she just didn't come through.
Well,
anyway.
I don't know if you want to cut to a song here, but
no, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, no, I just think that the bottom line is, until leadership at the provincial level gives a vision that everyone can tune into, how do you do? So, what is the role of the youth? What's the expectations of the provincially elected leadership? I mean, the youth. I remember getting involved in the Métis community when I was younger in Prince Albert and in Saskatoon. I mean, unless you really understand what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day, what's the point? And I just think that, again, who better to tell the people about what kind of programs you want than the youth themselves? We don't talk to the youth. We talk at the youth. We don't talk with the youth. And you've got these aged leaders that don't have a clue on how to connect with these people and listen to what they want. Instead, we bring them into an AGM and tell them how to vote, and that's about all we do these days. So,
but sometimes, in some cases, I've seen them at youth events. They bring them in, and wine them and dine them, treat them like kings and queens, have a little meeting, I suppose, and off they go, and then you don't see them for a while. I don't know what's going on. I just wish that we could motivate them somehow. I just don't know how.
Well, we got to we motivate them by putting in culturally relevant programs that makes them excited and proud about being who they are. Let's I've seen youth at culture camps just soak up their culture because it's the only glimpse they get of it, and we don't even focus on those things that don't even cost that much money to do. What we do is we try and indoctrinate them into this governance world, and yes, we need that, but we can't have programs that make sense for the people. I mean, that's all I can say. So I don't know what else to say.
Well,
on
let's
that
go back to music. We'll take a break and remind people they can still phone in. We're glad to hear from the youth for a change. We don't usually hear from a lot of youth. And let's go back to Darren LaValle playing a song called, it looks like it says, Cat Scratches. So let's hear that. On the Métis Matters radio show here on CFRO 102.7 FM, Vancouver Co-op Radio, coming to you from downtown Vancouver, where it's kind of a pleasant day today. You know that people are hustling about down here in the downtown east side in the inner city. And, of course, my name's Ken Fisher. I come from the big city of Surrey, just across the Fraser River on the other side there. And I'm with the Nova Métis Heritage Association in Surrey. We got a new address, by the way, 10586 King George Highway in the Dell Shopping Center. Yes, folks, we're back in the Dell Shopping Center. You can reach us there anytime, mostly Tuesdays and Fridays for after 11 o'clock. There's someone in the office there for membership issues. So do keep that in mind. And in the meantime, though, we'll turn our attention back to our guests in the studio and to talk about different issues, whatever they are. So what are they?
Okay, we want to touch upon the terrace meeting that we just attended this weekend. We had roughly about 30 Métis people showed up, and we had who I recognize as the regional director, Renee Therian, and also we had
Region 6. That
Region
is.
6, of course.
It's called the Northwest
Region regional director again, Renee Therian, and we had, of course, our cultural ambassador who was also there, Beverly Lambert, and
she really puts on a pretty good show. Doesn't she?
We had a wonderful time there, and I want to just Renee. You just made such a great speech there.
Renee Therian,
the
suspended regional director, who was suspended by his fellow board members over a year ago.
Yeah, and he made a great speech, and the part of his speech I like the best is when he says, "Don't ask what your nation can do for you. Ask what you can do for your nation."
Sounds like John F. Kennedy.
Well, yeah, but it was a good point he was trying to make, and what I got from that is, the people there had some serious concerns, and again, it continues to go to the financial issues. And, it's just really killing our nation right now. And everybody there cares. And I feel it was a great meeting, and
it was actually our longest meeting. We had we started at 1 and we were there right till 4:30.
Lots of questions and answers.
Lots of questions about the CCMC design blueprint as a possible go forward plan and around our debt recovery plan. So, it is starting to sink through for the grassroots citizens.
Well, anybody who's looked at the blueprint, and especially the final, it's a way out. It's a way out. But do you think that those 8 or 9 directors are going to buy into it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
The part that I like the best about this is it allows for the communities to get some money, $300 a month. That's better than what MNBC's done in the last 2 years. Really.
That's a thought.
That's one of the features of it. But I think more importantly to me is that it allows the leadership, the MNGA, to have an option. And really, what we're hoping is that the MNGA leaders themselves will take this upon themselves and learn more about it.
Well, thank you for those comments. Anyway, in the meantime, somebody has responded, and the phone 604-684-7561. We got a caller on the air. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, Ken.
Yes, it is.
It's Maxine.
Maxine from, Maxine LaValle.
Yes, from Langley.
From the big city of Langley. Boy, you guys are really growing out there. I can't believe it.
We sure are. And I just heard something that by the year, 2040, apparently Langley is going to be bigger than Burnaby. But I guess I won't be around to see that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. You're going to live to 106.
Oh, yeah, right. But my reason for phoning was just a big thank you. Thanks for love listening to your show. We get a lot of information the only way we do get information. And just keep up the good work. And also a big thanks to Keith and Daryl for all the work and all the time that you two have put into this.
A lot of time and money and effort put into that. And away from his family, away from their families and everything like that.
That's right. And just for informing everyone on the status of our nation. So, and again, too, it's nice to hear Darren LaValle. The music of him.
Ironically, it's the same name.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you phoned in.
Yeah.
So thanks.
It was just a big thank you to all of you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Maxine. It's Keith here, and appreciate it. And I just want to say it was a big sacrifice. For those that don't realize, we did communicate with over 300 citizens in those 7 sessions, and Daryl and I, there was a lot of long days, and as Daryl sort of talked about at the beginning of the show, we got snowed in Terrace, and
I heard that.
So it was a big sacrifice. My family's very happy that part's over, and we feel we've done everything we can to it.
Job, eh?
Yeah, we did. We have. We were never in this. I can't stress this enough to somehow have a hostile takeover of the nation. The point was, holy smokes, people, we better realize what's going on, and here's a strategy to fix it. So all I can hope is the leadership can, the MNGA, I give up on the MNBC Board of Directors, but hopefully the MNGA members themselves will realize once and for all, we did this in the best interest of everyone, and it's our contribution in kind to this nation to figure out how we move forward.
Right. Well, thanks to Maxine from the Wache Metis Association in Langley.
Yeah.
And good luck with your organization. We'll work together for the same possible outcome, good government and prosperous Métis Nation.
Yes, and that was a nice quote, a John F. Kennedy quote. I just heard President Obama.
That's a quote. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Okay, well, thank you again. We'll go on to our next call.
All right. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go on to our next phone call here on the Métis Matters Radio Show. You're on the air. Go ahead if you got a question or a comment for our guest or myself.
Hi, Ken. It's Frances Ingram calling.
Oh, right. Frances Ingram from North Delta.
Right. I just wanted to send my condolences out to Eileen Horan. Her husband, Mervyn, passed away a couple on the 11th, I think, or a couple days ago, sorry. And there's a service for him on this Friday, February the 11th, at New Hope Church in Delta.
Okay. North Delta?
North Delta, yeah. The address is 11838 88th Avenue. And it's at 1:30 for those that are interested.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for that, Frances.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll just move on to our next caller.
Okay.
Okay, thank you once again.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air if you got a question or comment for myself or our guests. Hello? Speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say at a wedding. Hearing nothing, I suppose.
I guess they're gone.
Okay, well, they can always phone back next. Meanwhile, we'll move on. Let's see, it's 17 minutes to the hour, so we can either go to music and wait for that call, or maybe we have them on the line. Okay, not. Have we got a caller or not? Okay, well, let's go back to number 8 here on the Darren LaValle CD, and of course, it's easy to see that it's a great number. It's called "Old Man and Growling Old Man and Old Woman." Let's hear that. Okay, well, that was "Growling Old Man and Old Woman" by Darren LaValle, the Manitoba Métis fiddler, and we are here we are on the Métis Matters Radio Show, coming to you from downtown Vancouver, and all you folks listening on Star Choice Satellite or TELUS 718, big good afternoon to you here in the West Coast. Just starting to get dark, but you know something? We got a feeling out here on the coast, much different from the rest of Canada. It's almost like spring is in the air here, and I think I'm going to go put in my onions next week. So I don't know, is that premature? It might be. But anyway, we do invite callers to 604-684-7561. So seeing how we don't have a caller, oh yeah, we do have a caller. Okay, let's go to the lines. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Ken.
Yes, it is.
It's grassroots teacher Beverly Lambert.
Grassroots Métis teacher?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and have you had any grassroots lately?
Well, you just got to quit doing that to me. When I want to phone in, you put on a good tune, and I dance, so I'm out of breath. It doesn't work for me, so anyway, I decided to skip one tune.
So I understand that you were on this very momentous trip to up to the Northwest this past weekend.
Yeah, and we got stuck up there, and we almost had to hook up a team of dogs and come on home.
My goodness, yeah, that was rough weather, and considering down here we were basking in really good weather, so we got another call coming in. But go ahead and make your comment then, Bev, and we'll.
I won't keep you too long here. I just wanted to make another. I want to thank Daryl and Keith for everything they're doing on the CCMC website to inform people, and I like the way they're doing it, because for people like me too, I really need to see the facts. Like even when they're going against, they're reading someone's letter, but they're actually taking the quote and then answer. They're giving people the actual letters and then quoting it and showing it that way.
Well, when somebody's right in front of you, seeing is more believing.
Exactly, but they're going by paragraph and helping us understand it that way. That is what I like.
I heard she put on a pretty good show too.
Well, yeah, she put on a great show. Thanks, Beverly. She joined the coalition not all that long ago, but she certainly helped us, spread the message that nothing's more important than cultural awareness and showcasing that. And Beverly, at the last few sessions, was we started off with an hour of sort of some dancing and music, and it was really wonderful. But I just want to say, Beverly, I really appreciate hearing that, because we've really tried to force ourselves to, we sort of call it,
accountability.
Accountability to what we're saying. And,
yeah.
And I mean, if you saw the recent MNBC letter that's caused all the uproar on February 4th, President Dumont makes a whole bunch of statements about, we were in contact with Prince Rupert and offered help, and we did the same thing in the Kootenay region for those communities that didn't get legally incorporated yet. But they have never offered, what was the emails behind that? What was the letters behind that? And I'm saying to people, be critical about what someone writes on a piece of paper. I keep saying it. No one owns the moral high ground here just because they say it. It is so. I mean, I think those days are gone, and I think that everyone's questioning anything right now. So,
listen, Bev, we're going to have to have you right in the studio here and go into what you do in depth. Maybe next week, will you come in?
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, and again, I don't want to keep the other caller waiting, but I really appreciate what you guys are doing because of that. To me, I really do go on respect, and with you guys actually following suit with facts, and that really means a lot to me, because I'm not a follower, I'm a listener, and I learn, and I want to know facts, and I hope every leader out there is actually not sticking their head in the ground and dealing with this situation, because community has to stick together. Community leaders have to stick together in this. We have leaders up in Prince Rupert that already are starting communities. We have leaders over there in Prince Rupert that have citizens standing behind them, and they need our help.
Yeah. Well,
we can't just start kicking people out and saying, here, start a new family. It doesn't work that way.
Got to make things happen and set things right, so we'll be working on that, Bev.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your call.
Okay, thank you very much. God bless you all, and
thank you, Bev.
Keep hoping and faith.
Okay, take care, Bev.
Bye.
Thanks, Bev Lambert, Métis Champion Jigger. So let's go to the next call. Go ahead, caller. You are on the air, I believe.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, it's Richard Klein here.
Richard Klein.
Yes,
have you got a question or comment?
Directors? Yes, I have a small comment.
About me, or to me, or our guest, or who?
Well, I guess it's about Métis culture. So I think one of your people there, one of the two people that you have with you, is involved with the culture group, aren't they?
Well, no, not at the moment. There's me and two guests in the studio today. I'm involved with the culture group, the Nova Métis Heritage Association.
Yeah, but
and you, as the director,
are
well aware of that. But did you have a specific question for our guest?
Well, it's just many thanks to Bev for doing such a good job with the youth over there.
Very good. Well, she
and,
does.
The Fraser Valley Métis youth group is doing quite well too. They made a good showing when they show up.
When was this?
Oh, over at the last summer at the New West Culture Fair.
Yeah, well, then you should plan to attend the MNGA in Upton Abbotsford in the next 2 weeks. You might see a little culture there. So put that on your put that on your to-do list there, Richard.
Well, put it on the list. But I think it should be a good idea for maybe the Métis to get involved in some of these parades.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but the youth are doing all the things.
Like I said to you one time, Richard, if you can't the Métis will get in a parade eventually, but if we don't do it first class, we're not going to do it. We're not going to get on the back of a half-ton flatbed truck and ride down the street.
If you have to hike down the road, you got to do it.
We're going to do it first class when we do it. Okay, thank you for your call. I really appreciate your comments.
Right.
Okay, bye for now.
He raised a good point, around the. I just if I can, Ken, I think it's good that this is all part of the cultural awareness. There is such little knowledge. I've worked with an organization that has taken part in a couple of parades. I do have to caution, though, folks, that I'm not sure how it works with but some of the larger parades, like the Santa Claus Parade or the Christmas Day Parade, those do cost substantial amount of money to actually even participate in the parade. So, I mean, I'm sure Richard means something different.
Over the years, we have had a couple of people in different parades. But like I said we're not going to put our elders on the back of a flatbed truck and ride them down the street, because we don't want to get laughed at. We want to do it first class with proper. We want to be probably the best float in the whole parade. So that's my standard that we're going to have to live by.
Well, I'd love to see a parade with the Métis on. I can tell you we were one of the only Aboriginal floats for the last few parades.
We had one with some years back with Patty Mayo on there singing and everybody jigging on the back of a beautifully decorated
I'm talking the Christmas Day Parade and the Roger Santa Claus Parade. I do not believe that was that parade, but those are big events. They're televised, and it's around awareness. And I think that investment, just so you know, one of those parades can cost just the entry fee around $8,000 per float. So I think it's it would be a great investment though in terms of raising awareness around the Métis in BC, and I think it's a great idea, and I hope someone eventually runs with it because it is very important.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking at the time here. We almost run out of time here because we got 7 minutes to the hour. But so any more calls? Yes, exactly. Any more calls? 604-684-7561. Absolutely. We'll be looking forward to any calls. But we've had half a dozen already. But once again, I'm going to turn my attention back to our guest in the studio, Mr. Keith Henry, to go over the in summary, I might add, the blueprint.
Well, I'll make it quick because I know time is limited, but I really want to thank all the citizens that came out to the regional sessions. We wrote an initial blueprint document in October of 2010. What we did through those regional sessions is basically have sort of a consultation with folks, and we identified 26 action items and 8 specific recommendations that we hope that the leadership will approve or at least consider and have on the MNGA agenda on February 18th, 19th, and 20th. We think it is proper consultation. It's very clear what we need to do, and it sets out a year one action plan going forward. And the recommendations are very clear, and it's on the 6 issues of governance, operational plan, school, etc.
Keith, you're a very popular guest. You won't believe this. We have another caller. So go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Hello?
It's Grandma Bev.
Grandma Bev?
Yeah.
Why didn't we just talk to you?
I just had to pull a boner on you guys.
She forgot something.
Okay, Keith, I wanted you to talk a little bit more how important this private vote is for, like we were talking about respect, and I really feel that should be changed during this MNGA if we can get it, and how important, because me watching the youth and the elders at the AGM here, how important that is for people to have their privacy.
Yeah, in the interest of time, Beverly, yes. I'll chime in on this.
Now I'm going to hang up, and hopefully you can enlighten that, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there has been a lot of, during the regional sessions, what Métis citizens clearly wanted was to make sure that our leadership followed a secret ballot process. They've felt through staff and otherwise that there's a lot of pressure these days to not have free votes, and I think that given the current circumstances that this MNGA is where it's important so people can vote with their conscience and in free will.
Without being targeted and intimidated.
That's right. And we all know that when you stand up against MNBC, they remove your charters and they remove you from the board, and I mean there's more than enough examples of that.
They try to exact retribution against people who stand up against them.
To me, we've said in the press release, we have seen the enemy. It is us. We're not meaning us at CCMC. We're meaning us as a nation. If we don't fix this problem leading out of that MNGA, I can assure you, I certainly don't know what the future will hold for the nation. He's got 19 months on this current leadership left on their term. It's going to be a very challenging 19 months.
Well, I would like to see something brought forward at the MNGA to limit the term for these people to about 3 years, no more than that, because 4 years way too long. And that's like the premier we see. Even Obama has 4 years. I think this is a much smaller scale, so let's just limit that to 3 years. In fact, I might even think about even 2 years. But the point is, in view of this whole thing, we got to put our house back in order, make them responsible, and see what the best thing can happen. Because there's going to be a new regime has to take over and right the wrongs and bring things back to a situation where we can have confidence in our leadership.
And I think we've, whether it's whoever the regime is, our interest is that we've given everyone of the MNGA members and the citizens a plan under the blueprint document, and we used a little saying on there, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has. I can say that was our vision all along. We were going to share this idea out there with the people and let the people decide for themselves, because they need to be informed to make a good decision. And I believe that the leadership is still, at the community level, capable of taking this on.
I sure hope so, because this is going to come to a head at the MNGA, and make no mistake, we have to do the right thing and make sure that they're fully accountable.
One last comment I will say, we did, the coalition put out a notice. We are having a pre-meeting, and it's now on the website. It's open to all Métis citizens, and of course we're inviting personally all the MNGA members on February 17th from 7 till 9. It'll be at the Best Western in Abbotsford, and the address and details are all on the website. And we encourage everyone, we will have extra copies of all this information, and we will be sharing it with everybody.
And just what is that website?
www.mnbcagm.wordpress.com.
I want to thank our guests, Keith Henry and Daryl Piper, for coming in today from the Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens, giving us an update. And all I can say, my name's Ken Fisher. I'm with the Nova Métis Heritage Association office in Surrey. You can reach us there at 604-634-0119. You can reach us by email at novamétis@shaw.ca. Any last comments from you guys?
Yeah, I just want to quickly add that the Vancouver Métis Cultural Society website is now up and running. You can get us at vmcs.ca.
vmcs.ca. That's great. We'll have to have a look at that. Meanwhile, we're going to finish off with a nice song here because it's called Big John McNeil. So thanks for tuning in, folks. See you next time, same station. Bye for now.